Hello there, this is Heirs to the Kingdom channel, and today's lesson we're doing chapter 14 of Mark. If you're new to this, is a Bible study channel going through the King James Bible. We're already in New Testament, so I do recommend going back. If you have not been following along and go through Genesis chapter 1 and go through Old Testament, it's not good to come into the middle of a story. The Bible does tell stories, and the information you need from Old Testament, you need to know in New Testament so you can connect the dots. But in 14, there are 72 verses, so it's going to take a little bit to read. And so we went off last lesson, chapter 13. At the end, Jesus was saying, "Be you ready, for ye not know when the master of the house cometh." All need to watch. Always be on the watch and ready. Now, 14 is starting of the Passover, the betrayal, and the apprehension of Christ by the Pharisees, scribes, and stuff. I know this is probably not relevant to others, but there is an ambulance at my neighbor's house. And so my neighbor, she's had some medical problems and everything else. So keep her in your prayers as well. When, like at the end, I always say pray for everybody. But I'm giving fair warning also is if they start moving the ambulance around this, that, and the other, my dog's probably going to start barking. You may hear them. But, that's just what dogs do. They let you know when something's going on around you. Sometimes they're a little too eager in letting you know what's going on around. Because sometimes it's like, I don't need to know about that. I don't need to know about that car going down the road. Only if it's in my driveway. I got one dog that knows that. I don't have any other dogs. I got 4 dogs and only one of them knows that. The other ones, they bark at everything outside. But, like for those who've been following also, the puppy's doing good. The one that had to have the leg amputated. And so he doesn't go outside and challenge much if anything's happening. He just relays the message. When one barks, he barks. Just to make sure I hear. And it makes me a little upset at times because they get loud. And I'm like, I hear you. I got it. Calm down. I so badly want that remote from Click sometimes where you can just mute or turn the volume down. That'd be nice at times. But anyways. So the title of this one says Wednesday. So Wednesday is the start of the Feast of Passovers. And of course, we have to remember Jesus was crucified on Thursday. And Sunday he rose the third day. That's why we celebrate church on Sunday is the day that Christ rose. The Sabbath is Saturday, and the daily day we celebrate the Son of God, ascension, rising is on Sunday. He was around for a few days. He didn't ascend on Sunday. That's just when he arose from the dead. But there is quite a bit to read here. Like I said, there's 72 verses in this one chapter. And there is going to be some differences. And this is where a lot of people say, well, there's, indiscrepancies and stuff in the Bible. For one, we already read Matthew, and it said, but Peter will deny 3 times before the cock crows. But in Mark it says, before the cock crows twice, you will deny me thrice. We'll get to that. And it doesn't change the meaning of the story. Just some people say, well, here it's different. And, it's not really, those type of details are just not really that important. Not for the whole story. It's just, the thing is, Jesus told Peter that he would deny him 3 times and gave him the sign that, when this happens, remember, you've denied me 3 times. And that's where we end this lesson is at that point. This chapter, anyways. So, hope everybody's having a good week. Hope everybody had a good Wednesday yesterday. This is now Thursday. It is a little later at night, not too late. But, third Thursday of the month, I normally have a meeting. I got back from that, had to feed my animals, and then get started here. So, let's go ahead and get started into this lesson. Chapter 14, verse 1. After 2 days was the feast of the Passover, and of unleavened bread. And the chief priest and the scribes sought how they might take him by craft and put him to death. But they said, not on the feast day, lest there be an uproar of the people. And being in Bethany in the house of Simon the leper, as he sat at meat, there came a woman having an alabaster box of ointment and spikenard, very precious. And she brake the box and poured it on his head. Now later on, unless I'm just clearly mistaken, but later on we're going to find out this is Mary Magdalene. Once again, Matthew doesn't talk about Mary Magdalene, neither does Mark. I mean, they did speak about it of Mary and then Jesus' mother Mary at the sepulcher when the stone was rolled away. That's when they mention her in Matthew. But she has a very important role in the lessons of Jesus about who all he can save and will save. Because Mary Magdalene was a harlot. And it's very crucial what Jesus says to her. As he says, you are now forgiven, go forth and sin no more. I've witnessed myself a lot of people in today's times that think, well, I got saved, so now I can live how I want to, and, it doesn't matter. I'm getting into heaven. There's commandments from God. I talk about this a lot. And the Bible does say names will be blotted out of the book of life. So, you don't want to test those waters, I believe. You better read Scripture for yourself or follow this channel, as that's what we're doing, reading through the Scriptures completely. I'm not going to add to anything of what the Bible says. I'm going to show it to you. That's why I'm doing this channel. So it ain't just me talking about the Bible in this like it's a preaching session. No, this is a Bible study. We're reading through the Bible together. And some things I'm still learning myself. Little bits here and there. So I've talked about this many times too. But yeah, the commandment to all of us is, you are forgiven. Now go forth and fight temptation for the rest of your life. Because you're going to. When you live to get to a certain age, temptation's a whole lot easier to fight against, is because your body ain't working as much, so the flesh is weak. The temptations become weaker. I ain't saying that your brain's gone. Mentally, you'll still have things that upset you and bother you, and you still always got to mind your thoughts, myself included. I'm not, I mess up all the time. Even today, trying to drive to that meeting, had some person pull out in front of me, and I had flickering my high beams, let them know, hey, you just pull out in front of me and stuff. And so what does he do? He hits the brakes, brake checks me. Instead of speeding up to get out of the way, because I'm coming up on him at 60 miles an hour, and he pulled out in front of me doing 20. Yeah. My brain, internal thoughts, was not in a nice place after that. I don't handle butthole drivers all that well. I don't drive much at all because of that. It's just easier for me just not to deal with people. It's, yeah, These are the things when you're disrespected, you're supposed to turn the other cheek, and sometimes I'm able to, sometimes I'm not. Not properly anyways, but either or. I'm saying I ain't the only one that deals with stuff like this. These type of people are out there messing with everybody. But yeah, they do exist. They're going to bring temptation on us because, hey, people think that they're special and they don't, they're very selfish, self-centered, and very disrespecting. And it tests your patience. It really does. Anyways, I'm getting off onto another rabbit trail. That's, But, yeah, this woman we're talking about is Mary Magdalene. Let's continue on here, verse 4. And there were some that had indignation within themselves and said, why was this waste of the ointment made? For it might have been sold for more than 300 pence and have been given to the poor. And they murmured against her. And Jesus said, let her alone. Why trouble ye her? She hath wrought a good work on me. For ye have the poor with you always, and whensoever ye will, ye may do them good. But me ye have not always. She hath not done what she could. She is come aforehand to anoint my body for the burying. I think I read that being, I think she hath done what she could. I think I put the word not in there. I'm sorry if I did that. Yeah, she hath done what she could. She has come aforehand to anoint my body to the burying. Verily I say unto you, wheresoever this gospel shall be preached throughout the whole world, this also that she hath done shall be spoken of for a memorial of her. And Judas Iscariot, one of the 12, went unto the chief priests to betray him unto them. And when they heard it, they were glad and promised to give him money. And he sought how he might conveniently betray him. And the first day of the unleavened bread, when they killed the Passover, his disciples said unto him, where wilt thou that we go and prepare that thou mayest eat the Passover? And he sendeth forth 2 of his disciples, and saith unto them, go ye into the city, and there shall meet you a man bearing a pitcher of water. Follow him. And wheresoever he shall go in, say ye to the good man of the house, the master saith, where is the guest chamber, where I shall eat the Passover with my disciples? And he will show you a large upper room, furnished and prepared. There make ready for us. And his disciples went forth and came into the city, and found as he had said unto them, and they made ready the Passover. And in the evening he cometh with the 12. And as they sat and did eat, Jesus said, verily I say unto you, one of you shall, that which eateth with me, shall betray me. And they began to be sorrowful, and said unto themselves, one by one, is it I? And another said, is it I? And he answered and said unto them, it is one of the 12 that dippeth with me in the dish. Now in Matthew it says it's the one that dippeth after me. But once again, now because here it's not going to be said much, but in Matthew it gets more detail about Jesus telling Judas, go and do what you plan on doing. But here in Mark it doesn't say that. And I tell you right now, I think that would put chills up and down my spine if I would have been in those shoes of Judas. I don't think I would have been able to continue on whenever it's like, oh, he knows. It's not like you're going to keep it hid anyways. But, but yeah, but it doesn't say that here in Mark, but doesn't change the lesson. That's why we read all of it, because you get little bits here and little bits there. It's like the movie Vantage Point. You get, the whole story when you hear the story from every different point of view, from everybody that was in different parts of, something that happened. So everything's by someone else's vantage point. But anyways, let's continue on here. 21. The Son of Man indeed goeth, as it is written of him. But woe to that man by whom the Son of Man is betrayed. Good were it for that man if he had never been born. Now remember, this was one of the 12. At this point in time, they were all saved. But Judas's name will be blotted out. And to be a disciple of the Lord means that you're saved. He called you to him. You accept the calling. They were saved. But Judas loses his salvation. This is our first, thing that we know of about grace, the salvation being removed. But let's continue on here, 22. And as they did eat, Jesus took bread and blessed and brake it and gave it to them and said, Take, eat. This is my body. And he took the cup, and when he had given thanks, he gave it to them, and they all drank of it. And he said unto them, This is my blood of the New Testament, which is shed for many. Verily I say unto you, I will drink no more of the fruit of the vine until that day that I drink it new in the kingdom of God. And when they had sung an hymn, they went out into the Mount of Olives. And Jesus saith unto them, All ye shall be offended because of me this night, for it is written, I will smite the shepherd, and the sheep shall be scattered. But after that I am risen, I will go before you into Galilee. But Peter said unto him, Although all shall be offended, yet will not I. And Jesus saith unto him, Verily I say unto thee, that this day, even in this night, before the cock crow twice, thou shalt deny me thrice. But he spake the more vehemently. I said that word in my head, but my mouth just says, nope, I ain't going to say it right. Continue on here. If I should die with thee, I will not deny thee in any wise. Likewise also said they all. So they all says, nah, even if I die, I'm going to be with you. It's easy to say words. But like me, I served in the military. I've been to, all these different areas and deployments, blah, blah, blah. It's easy to say what you're going to do. But once you're actually in it, what you said is irrelevant. It's now, how do you respond? A lot of people, see, these people were fishermen. They were family men, this, that, and the other. They weren't soldiers. They weren't ready to fight against an army. Against guards and trained warriors and this, that, and the other type people. So against a bunch of other people like them, oh yeah, we can help defend ourselves. But as I said, it's a totally different ball game when you're against professionals in a sense. It's like getting in a fight on the streets and you're fighting a UFC fighter. It's like it ain't going to end well for you. That's a professional fighter. They do it for a living. You might get lucky. That's why best bet, even Jesus teaches, it's better just to turn the other cheek, walk away if you can, and just avoid the whole situation because, it ain't worth it. It ain't worth the problem that may come from it. But let's continue on here, 32. And they came to a place which was named Gethsemane. And he saith to his disciples, Sit ye here while I shall pray. And he taketh with him Peter and James and John, and began to be sore amazed and to be very heavy. And saith unto them, My soul is exceeding sorrowful unto death. Tarry ye here and watch. And he went forward a little, and fell on the ground, and prayed that, if it were possible, the hour might pass from him. So Jesus knew what he's going to have to do, but once again, knowing what's going to happen, and then the closer you get to this, it's like, I really don't want to do this. Like being a soldier, you can train for war all you want to, but it's like when you're actually in it, that's when it's like, now it's real. Before it's just war games, just training, blah blah blah. It's just not. This is different. Your mind automatically knows it. And Jesus didn't want to have to go through this. No person in their right frame of mind would want to go through this. But let's continue on. 36. And he said, Abba, Father, all things are possible unto thee. Take away this cup from me. Nevertheless, not what I will, but what thou wilt. So Jesus is telling us here that even he, the Son of God, has to obey the Father. So that says all people, everybody has to obey the Father. Just because you've been given grace doesn't mean that you've been given a free pass to do whatever. It's like them crappy women, at concerts holding up sign, I've been given a pass. These despicable type people that, so full of themselves and self-pleasure. But, anyway, you get the idea. It's like, everybody, even the Son of God, has to obey the Father. Of course, we're not going to be perfect and we're going to mess up, but we're to keep trying. We're to pick ourselves back up, dust ourselves off, because, yep, I fell then. Let me go on with life, and maybe I can do better next time. Maybe not. Maybe you can do good 10 times in a row, and one time, boom, it all falls apart. It's like, But the thing is, you keep trying. You may never conquer it, but you keep trying. This is what we're commanded to do, and we should want to do this to show love to God the Father. Verse 37. And he cometh and findeth them sleeping, and saith unto Peter, Simon, Sleepest thou? Couldst not thou watch 1 hour? Watch ye and pray, lest ye enter into temptation. The spirit truly is ready, but the flesh is weak. And again he went away and prayed and spake the same words. And when he returned, he found them asleep again, for their eyes were heavy. Neither wist they what to answer him. And he cometh the third time, and saith unto them, Sleep on now, and take your rest. It is enough. The hour is come. Behold, the Son of Man is betrayed into the hands of sinners. Rise up, let us go. Lo, he that betrayeth me is at hand. And immediately while he yet spake, cometh Judas, one of the 12, and with him a great multitude with swords and staves, from the chief priest and the scribes and the elders. And he that betrayed him had given them a token, saying, Whomsoever I shall kiss, that same is he. Take him and lead him away safely. And as soon as he was come, he goeth straightway to him, and saith, Master, Master, and kissed him. And they laid their hands on him, and took him. And one of them that stood by drew a sword, and smote a servant of the high priest, and cut off his ear. And Jesus answered and said unto them, Are ye come out as against a thief, with swords and with staves, to take me? Now, of course, once again, we don't hear the part in either in Mark, we didn't hear it in Matthew, about how Jesus put the ear back on the servant and healed him. Because, if he didn't do that, then the disciple would also be arrested for hurting the servant of the high priest, and he would be executed as well, and Jesus couldn't allow that. It says, no, they already have a mission to go forth. Like, that's why they're going to flee me now and not be a part of this. It was already known ahead of time, but continue on here, 49. I was daily with you in the temple teaching, and ye took me not, but the scriptures must be fulfilled. And they all forsook him and fled. And there followed him a certain young man having a linen cloth cast about his naked body, and the young men laid hold on him. And he left the linen cloth and fled from them naked. And they led Jesus away to the high priest, and with him were assembled all the chief priests and the elders and the scribes. And Peter followed him afar off, even into the palace of the high priest. And he sat with the servants and warmed himself at the fire. So we do have to give it to Peter this. He's the only one that actually followed in. First they all fled, and then when he's being led away, Peter came back and followed. The rest didn't. They fled and stayed away. I don't know. Judas probably he didn't have a need to flee, but he wasn't really part of the 12 no more as soon as this happened. So I think he was somewhere in the midst of all this stuff, because he's going to witness this stuff. Because he says, hey, wait a minute, no, this ain't supposed to happen. And he said, got to get our money back. And they just said, nah, too late now, that's yours. But anyways, let's continue on here. 55. And the chief priest and all the council sought for witness against Jesus to put him to death, and found none. For many bare false witness against him, but their witness agreed not together. And there arose certain and bare false witness against him, saying, we heard him say, I will destroy this temple that is made with hands, and within 3 days I will build another made without hands. But neither so did their witness agree together. Because that's not what Jesus said. That was not the exact words he said, but let's continue on here, 60. And the high priest stood up in the midst and asked Jesus, saying, Answerest thou nothing? What is it which these witness against thee? But he held his peace and answered nothing. Again the high priest asked him and said unto him, Art thou the Christ, the Son of the Blessed? And Jesus said, I am, and ye shall see the Son of Man sitting on the right hand of power, and coming in the clouds of heaven. Then the high priest rent his clothes, and saith, What need we any further witnesses? Ye have heard the blasphemy. I don't know where this is blasphemy at, because it was never spoken in the scriptures that Jesus announcing himself that he's the Son of God is blasphemy. Once again, they just made up rules as they went along, saying, nope, we're saying it's blasphemy. It's like the leftovers today saying, oh, you're racist, oh, you're this, oh, you're that, or, misogynist. It means nothing because their words are empty, because it's rules made up in their head and not the actual definition of the word. You get the point there. It's like people just start making up their own reality versus what the truth is. That's what these people have done. Let's continue on here. What think ye? And they all condemned him to be guilty of death. And some began to spit on him, and to cover his face, and to buffet him, and to say unto him, Prophesy. And the servants did strike him with the palms of their hands. And as Peter was beneath in the palace, there cometh one of the maids of the high priest. And when she saw Peter warming himself, she looked upon him and said, And thou also was with Jesus of Nazareth. But he denied, saying, I know not, neither understand I what thou sayest. And he went out into the porch, and the cock crew. And a maid saw him again, and began to say to them that stood by, This is one of them. And he denied it again, and a little after they that stood by said again to Peter, Surely thou art one of them, for thou art a Galilean, and thy speech agreeth thereto. But he began to curse and to swear, saying, I know not this man of whom ye speak. And the second time the cock crew. And Peter called to mind the word that Jesus said unto him, Before the cock crow twice, thou shalt deny me thrice. And when he thought thereon, he wept. And that's the end of the chapter, and we're right here at 30 minutes. So, hope you enjoyed the reading tonight. So remember to pray. Pray for me, I'll pray for you. Pray for my neighbor. Pray for the lost, the found. People that need prayer, people that don't think they need prayer. We got to pray for everything, everywhere, all the time. We always got to stay in prayer. We always got to talk to God. It keeps us closer to Him and less likely to fall into temptation, because it's kind of hard to be tempted by the world when you're actually talking to God. It does work. But yeah, always pray. Give praise to the Lord. Give prayer and give thanks for everything, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Always give thanks. But I'm going to go ahead and end this lesson here. Get this loaded up. So please like, subscribe, and share this content. It helps reach more people. So until next time, God bless, good night, and goodbye.